Well, this is a very major development. The fall of Mariupol, that's certainly what the Russians believe has taken place. But there is a very large center. It's a steel plant over there called the Azovstal steel plant, where in fact the Ukrainians continue to defend. There are believed to be approximately 1,000 plus civilians who could actually be in that particular area where they are taking actually taking shelter as well. Let me go back to Rishika for a moment.
All right, Vishnu, we seem to be having some audio trouble connecting with you there. We're going to try and re-establish that line as soon as possible. But this, of course, is the big story that we're tracking at this hour. Vishnu Shom, remember, reporting live. He is in Kiev at the moment, and we seem to be having some kind of a connectivity issue with Vishnu in Ukraine. But we'll try and restore that line with Vishnu ASAP. Meanwhile, President Putin has hailed Russia's liberation of Mariupol after the defense minister told him that Moscow now controls the Ukrainian port city. Remember, this is a city that has been at the very epicenter of the fight between Russia and Ukraine. There have been the most unspeakable war crimes that have been committed. Mariupol citizens have been left without food, water, basic supplies for months on end now. So this port city really has been in the focus, a city that is literally reduced to nothing. Russia now claims that they have control over Mariupol. A very bitter fight has been fought here between Ukraine and Russia. But taking full control of Mariupol on the Azov Sea is a very big strategic win for Russia, because it helps to connect the annexed Crimea region to territories of the pro-Russian separatists, especially in eastern Ukraine. The city of Mariupol and the separatist-controlled eastern Donbass region would also allow Moscow to essentially complete a southern corridor to the Crimean Peninsula that it annexed back in 2014, depriving Ukraine of much of its coastline. So like I said, a huge strategic win there for Russia. I do believe we've managed to restore that connection with Vishnu. Vishnu, it's over to you.
Well, the big story that we continue to focus on is the collapse of Mariupol. That is, of course, is a major Russian claim. At this stage, however, there are Ukrainian defenders, approximately 1,500 plus of them, who continue to fight from the Azovstal steel plant in the city of Mariupol. They're believed to be as many as 2,000 civilians who could be in mines, who could be in tunnels underneath the plant. It is a very major development on a day in which Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, has announced the capture of Mariupol itself. It's taken place after 2 months of very heavy fighting. At the same time, it's unclear what the Russians intend to do with that Azovstal steel plant. It appears at this stage that they're going to encircle it. Putin apparently giving some sort of instruction that not even a fly should be allowed to come out. But does this, the declaration of a victory in Mariupol, transpire into the first step of the war actually coming down, tensions being eased? Joining us to discuss that, Oleksiy Goncharenko, the MP from Ukraine, and Fred Ware joins us from Moscow at this stage. Mr. Goncharenko, thank you very much for being with us. Does Ukraine accept what Russia is now saying, that Mariupol has fallen to them?
It's like always, because still there are strongholds in Mariupol, which are controlled by Ukrainian forces. First of all, I'm speaking about Azovstal factory, where Ukrainian fighters, they still control it. And together with them are hundreds of civilians. And Russia is using bombs, rockets, attacking it from strategic bombarders from air, but still cannot take it. So that's not true that Mariupol is completely taken by Russia.
Okay. Fred, where do you believe that this will be the first step towards Vladimir Putin? He's declared this as a victory. Would this mean an easing of tensions as far as this war is concerned?
I seriously doubt that. It is clear that they have taken most of the city of Mariupol. I spent quite a bit of time in that very beautiful city once, and I looked at the telegram channels of Russian war correspondents. I see them sitting on the beach at Mariupol. I see them downtown next to the drama theater. It means they have the whole city except for that rather large steel mill, one of the two steel mills of Mariupol, which is like a natural fortress. I mean, it's going to be awfully difficult to storm or to take, but it's on the seashore and it's surrounded. So I guess what Putin said was, let's just seal it up and move
what
on.
Happens next. In fact, let me just go back to Mr. Goncharenko. Mr. Sure. Goncharenko, there are 1,000+ Ukrainian soldiers still in over there. Are they going to fight till the death?
They're not going to surrender. I spoke with them this morning, several hours ago, and they said they are ready to evacuate from Mariupol with weapons in their hands. Oh, they will fight till the end. They're absolute heroes, and Putin just could not take the city, could not win them. That's why he just destroyed, like he did in Syria, like he did in Chechnya. That's a Russian playbook. Just destroy everything, just to kill everybody. And that's what he's saying, liberation. Liberation from what? From life? Yes, he liberated thousands of people there from their lives, from their homes, from their houses. That's the only thing that Russia can liberate.
Mr. Goncharenko, what about the civilians who are still underneath that steel plant? Where are humanitarian corridors presently?
That's a big question, a big concern. Hundreds of people are still waiting for humanitarian corridors. And I hope that international community can influence Putin to let possibility to these people to go to safety, including women, children. Because for the moment, they're just killing them in thousands, and 1,000 more can be killed. For Putin, it's nothing, we understand it. But for the world to see how they absolutely consciously are killing people on the eyes of the whole world, I think the world should be disgusted and shocked with this and change the situation.
Fred Ware, a final question to you. Now that Putin has destroyed Mariupol and he's captured it, what does he propose to do with the city? Where would he get the billions of dollars required to rebuild the city? Perhaps it will take a generation to rebuild it. What does he do now that he's gotten Mariupol?
I think that they do feel that Mariupol is the city of the Donetsk People's Republic. It is part of the former Donetsk Oblast, and it was mainly the army of the Donetsk People's Republic that was assaulting Mariupol. It is astonishing to me that I covered 2 Chechen wars, and I was in Grozny at the peak of the last one, and it was a total ruin. It looked like Stalingrad. It looked much worse than Mariupol does. And yet they have rebuilt that. It's a much smaller place, but when Russia, I guess, focuses its resources, and especially if they use Chinese money and developmental support, I guess they can succeed. But that's in the future. Right now, the issue is that claiming Mariupol under control means that Donetsk army will now turn and move north, where the real battle
you had a
is happening.
Point to make, sir? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to tell you that the whole Russia is ruins, and they are not in any need to rebuild something. They're just territorial empire, like some others in history on the planet. They're just taking territory, destroying everything on them. Russia itself, it's ruins. You know, you should not go to Stalingrad in 1942. You can go 100 kilometers from Moscow and you will see that Stalingrad is still there. So they're destroying everything. They're just destroyers and killers.
Yeah, I understand why he wants to say that, but it's simply nonsense. Russia is a more or less modern, developed country. It has a lot of poverty in the
You're
corners.
Joking, more or less developed country.
Corners of Moscow is a very vibrant. Anyway,
which
let's
is shelling the cities. They're shelling the cities and bombing the cities with civilians. Modern country. They're medieval, barbaric country. Absolutely barbaric, absolutely medieval, not democratic at all, like in the minimum. That's the country which destroyed 1/6 part of Earth's surface with them. That's all. That's all. Let's go to Siberia. Let's go to Siberia and watch how Siberia looks like.
All right, gentlemen. Without any war. The passion on this particular topic. I need to wrap this discussion up with just another quick reminder to our viewers of the big international development today: the collapse of the Ukrainian city of Mariupol. That's a Russian claim. There is a significant area in a very large steel plant where there are more than 1,000 Ukrainian soldiers, more than 1,000 civilians who continue to hold out. It is a fortress. Putin has given the instruction that that area needs to be surrounded. Not a fly should be allowed to leave, he says. But Mariupol, there was an expectation that it could in fact collapse. One of the reasons is the geographical location of Mariupol. It is located north of the Crimea. That's an area that Russia has illegally occupied since 2014. And Russia was able to surge troops in the direction of Mariupol. Not something that they did very effectively in the north of Kiev, where I am right now. But the bulk of Ukraine's forces are actually located north and east of Mariupol along what is called a line of contact. Russia keeps pushing westwards. The Ukrainians push them back. The loss of Mariupol does not mean the loss, a military loss, an overall military loss for Ukraine at all. There is a sense that this is a war that can go on for several months more before both sides eventually come to the negotiating table. Will they be willing to do that? Nobody knows. Earlier, I was in the north of Ukraine, right along the border with Belarus, where I got a first-hand idea of some of the devastation that our guests were actually speaking about. Where our guests I actually saw a graveyard with 1,000 graves, freshly, dug graves, coffins placed over there. Clear evidence of the extent of the destruction and the loss of human lives as the Russians withdrew from the north of Ukraine.
How many people have actually lost their lives in this war? That's a number which is disputed because different sides say different things. But we've come to one of the main graveyards over here, the main cemeteries in the Chernihiv area, and we've counted more than 1,000 graves which have actually been laid over here in this particular area. And all of these are people who have died recently. How do we know that? If you look at the dates which have actually been written, this individual passed away on the 30th of March 2022. If you move to this particular one, on the 28th of March 2022, this individual passed away. Similarly, you just need to go through this. 30th of March 2022, 29th of March 2022, again 29th of March, behind that 30th of March. The point being that this entire area on both sides of where I am, on my right and on my left, these are all recent deaths in a city which was partially evacuated when the Russians started coming over here. All of these individuals lost their lives in this war, and this is only one graveyard in this entire area. There are several other smaller graveyards as well. In fact, what we've been told is that the main graveyard in the Chernihiv area has been partly damaged. It's been partly destroyed, which is why a lot of the mortal remains of those who died in this war are being brought here. And this extension of this graveyard actually continues far behind me in that direction as well. Ashok, why don't you walk with me and let's just run our cameras onto some of the dates over here. This person died also on the 29th of March this year. And just take a look at the depth of this area and the number of graves which have been marked over here with the names of people who have been killed. This is the sad reality of this war. Countless deaths. How many have actually died? It's only when you come to areas like this that you get a clearer sense of just how many have perished. With Uma Shankar Singh and Ashok Mahale, Vishnu Shom for NDTV. We're in the Chernihiv area of North Ukraine, about 30 odd kilometers away from the border with Belarus. These are the areas where the Russians retreated from after having lost the battle for Kiev. Kiev, the Ukrainian capital, about 3.5 hours drive south of where we are located. But this is an absolute village of horror. It's been completely devastated. As you can see, there is a crater over here. This is where a massive bomb landed. There's another crater over here as well. We're just going to walk down this road. We've been told by our Ukrainian army minders not to enter any of these buildings because they are booby-trapped. There are grenades with tripwires which have not been diffused. There is a worry about landmines in the areas near us, so we are not going to be moving so much over there. But what really struck us was a visit to a graveyard a short distance away from here, a graveyard where we independently counted more than 1,000 graves. Think about it, 1,000 graves in this particular graveyard, and we were able to corroborate this because there were nameplates with a date of death. We also spoke to the man digging the graves, who said that while the Russians were bombing overhead, he was digging graves below. This is the story of Chernihiv. The true number of those who have lost their lives may perhaps, like in all wars, all conflicts, be never known.